Hey guys, it's Gar, and today we're going to be going over my StamDK build for update 40. I really like this build so far. It has a lot of damage and a lot of pressure, and overall I just feel like it feels really nice. One more thing before we get on with the video, if you're not subscribed, please do so. We just started streaming on YouTube as well, so I've been streaming 5 days a week on both Twitch and YouTube. So if you guys want to see how these builds are made and how they go actually in combat instead of just these build videos, come watch me stream. I'd really appreciate having everybody there. I've been really appreciating everybody stop by the streams lately. So guys, if you like watching streams on YouTube, I have been streaming. Come check it out. I would really appreciate it. But guys, without further ado, let's get started. Looking at our character sheet, we're going to be an Imperial on our StamDK. I'm always an Imperial. I really feel like that overall reduced cost passive helps your sustain so much. And overall, it's just really noticeable when it comes to just sustaining all your resources. Our attributes are going to be 32 points into health and 32 points into stamina, nice and even, to give us a max magic pool of 15.3k, a max health pool of 32k, and a max stam pool of 22.4k. Our Mundus is going to be the warrior to increase our weapon damage as much as possible. We're also going to be using Jewels of Miserable as our food to increase our max health and our stamina magic recovery. We're also going to be Vampire Stage 3 because that is going to give us the Undeath passive, and the Undeath passive is always awesome. The lower health we are, the less damage we take, really helpful for our overall damage mitigation. Moving on to our gear, we're changing it up a little bit, and I'm actually taking off Bloodspawn for once. We're actually going to be using a heavy Geral's helmet in Reinforced. I've been really liking Geral's. It's been a lot different from everything else I've been using. What that does is it gives you a line of weapon and spell damage, and then also dealing damage applies a stack of Milady to your enemy, reducing their healing Dakin by 1% for 5 seconds, and you could stab that up to 35 times, and that you can apply a stack every 0.5 seconds. So basically, if you hit an enemy with a dot, the longer that dot goes on for, the less damage, the less healing they're going to be able to do that to themselves. So that's really cool for overall just taking the healing away from your enemies. I really like that a lot, and I was really surprised with how well it worked. The unfortunate side of that is that you're going to be reducing your healing taken by up to 15% as well, but honestly, you don't really notice it too much when it's 15% and it's constant. As long as you just keep your resolving vigor rolling at all times, you really don't notice it too much. So that is what we're running on this. I really like it. If you're feeling that the damage mitigation is a little bit too low on this build, you can always switch it to Bloodspawn and go true and steady. You know, it's really nice and easy, but I just wanted to try something a little bit different, and honestly, this was really working well for me. I really liked it. We're also going to be using a light Geral's shoulder in Impen as well, with 2 prismatic enchantments on both. And then as our body pieces, we're going to be using Way of the Fire because Way of the Fire is still incredibly strong. It's going to be a heavy reinforced chest piece. What that's going to do is it's going to give us a line of weapon spell damage, max stam, crit chance, and then when you deal damage with a weapon, or that also applies to a dot with a weapon as well, you're going to be applying 3,000 flame damage as well, so that can occur once every 2 seconds. So that's a lot of pressure to keep up on your enemies, especially when that is just proccing every 2 seconds. That's really nice for your overall sustain. So imagine you're just continuing to be in a fight as long as possible with that Geralt stacking on your enemy. They're getting up to 35% healing reduction, and your damage ticks are just really getting stronger and stronger as the fight's going on. I love it, honestly. We're also going to be using Wretched Vitality as our back bar set. We're going to be using medium Impen hands. So what Wretched Vitality does is the 2-piece is magic recovery, 3-piece is stam recovery, 4-piece is weapon and spell damage, and the 5-piece is while in combat, applying a major buff or debuff to a target grants you 260 magic and stam recovery for 15 seconds. Same thing applies to a minor buff or debuff. It gives you an extra 130. So basically, if you apply in combat a major buff or debuff, or a minor debuff or buff to yourself or an enemy, you're going to be increasing your magic and stam recovery by an extra 400. So that's huge for your overall sustain, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to proc that incredibly easy on this build once we're onto the skills part of it. So overall, this is a great way to keep your sustain up, because I am going to be using corrosive on this build, and they changed it this patch so that corrosive can't give you ultimate while you're inside of it. So I figured I wanted to try to be able to sustain just regularly with my resources without building for ult sustain like a lot of people do Danger Trickery. So I really wanted to try this, and overall I really liked it a lot. I really felt like the sustain was really solid. We're also going to be using a medium Wretched Vitality Waist Piece in Impen and medium Wretched Vitality Feet in Well Fitted. Our jewelry is going to be triple Wave the Fire. All of them are going to be in infused weapon and spell damage. I really like infused, increases your overall damage as much as possible, and also higher weapon and spell damage you have means the higher healing you have as well. So overall, triple infused, Ring of the Fire, and Necklace of the Fire. Our front bar set is also going to be Master's Perfected Maces. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a shock damage enchantment on it, and our offhand is going to be Sharpened with a disease enchantment on it. I really wanted to do disease on that because that would reduce their healing taken a little bit even more, and overall Master's is just a really solid way to get your damage up as much as possible. What it does is the 2-piece gives you crit chance for the perfected line, and then if you also have this as well, you're also going to be using this and getting Twin Slashes, dealing an extra 1635 more damage to each hit of the initial attack and the bleed as well. So that is so much extra damage because that's going off every second as well for the bleed as well. So that is so much extra pressure. Between that and then the Wave the Fire dot proccing every 2 seconds, it is huge. And then back bar, Ice Staff of Wretched Vitality, defending, weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Ice Staff is really going to help your overall block mitigation as well. Our skills on this are going to break down like this. We're going to be using Molten Whip. This is going to be what's kind of lining up your big burst with, because normally the tooltip 8k, but you can also buff the damage of this by 60% by getting a 3-stack Seething Fury count. So basically, the best way I can suggest this is make sure your dots are fully up on your enemies, make sure you have a 3-stack whip, and then hit them with this. They're taking a bunch of damage. We're also going to be using Shattering Rocks. It's going to be your main CC on this build. So if you just want to kind of lock your enemies up in place, use this, puts them right down into the ground, and it's a great way to combo Shattering Rocks into your Molten Whip, and that's a lot of damage that your enemies take really quickly. Flames of Oblivion, this is going to be a nice little damage that you have every 5 seconds, but on top of that, you're also going to get Major Prophecy and Savagery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell crit by 2600, so that's huge for your overall damage, because having your crit a lot higher, massive, definitely helps, and overall, this is a great source of damage. Please do not sleep on this. Make sure this is out at all times. It is huge for your damage, and it's also going to help you with a stack of Seething Fury for your Molten Whip, so please keep that out at all times. And then I'm using Blood Craze on this build. That way we can get a little bit more healing back because of the debuff from Geral's. So using this, you're going to get that little buff on your enemies where this is going to be what's proccing the conditions of your Master's Dual Wield. So you're going to be dealing basically 2000 bleed damage with each weapon right away. But if you think about that, that's going to double basically because of the buff to Master's Dual Wield, and then the bleed on that as well every 2 seconds. That's gonna be awesome for your overall damage, because that's gonna be proccing both your Master's Dual Wield, and then since that is a weapon ability right here under the weapon skills line, since that is a weapon ability, that's also going to meet the conditions of your Wave the Fire. So that's going to be proccing, just by having the dot on them, that's going to be proccing Wave the Fire every 2 seconds as well. So that's huge for your overall damage. Make sure it's on them at all times. I really felt like this morph was a little bit better because you get a little bit more of healing back, and I really felt the extra little bit of healing. It's not the most, but I mean, with this build, I'll take any bit that I can get. Also, we're going to be using Noxious Breath because of multiple reasons. One, it's a great damage ability. Two, it's going to help give you a stack of Molten Whip for that Seething Fury. And then also, it's going to give you Major Breach on your enemy, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k for 24 seconds, right? Yeah, 24 seconds. So that's awesome for your overall damage. Definitely make sure your enemies have this on them at all times. And then I'm using Take Flight on this build because it is a very cheap but very strong ultimate. I really like this. It's great to be able to use this a lot. I'm not really relying on Corrosive 2 too much. I'm using this a lot, and it's really cool for your overall damage. I like it. And then we're going to be using Igneous Weapon as our back bar first ability. This is going to be your source of Major Brutality and Sorcery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 20%. We're also going to be using Race Against Time on this build. Race Against Time is going to do a lot of different things for us on this build. First of all, it's going to give us major expedition, so it's going to make our movement speed increase by 30%, so we're going to be really fast. So it's going to increase our critical damage by 10% because we're going to get minor force from this, so our critical damage is going to be a lot higher because of this. This is also going to be your source of snare removal because this is going to remove all snares and immobilizations, so this is going to really help you kind of get out of a fight, and it's going to be really helpful for your overall survival. And then I also said earlier when I was talking about Wretched Vitality that I would help talk about a skill that's going to proc both conditions of it. So Race Against Time, you activate this, you get major expedition and you get minor force, so that's going to proc both conditions of Wretched Vitality. So just by activating this while you're in combat, you're going to have that extra 400 recovery just for an extra 15 seconds. So make sure you just do this at all times. It's going to help your conditions of your Wretched Vitality go up, and your recovery is going to be really, really high because of it. Also, we're going to be using Resolving Vigor. This is going to be a nice 5-second heal over time to get you right back to full health. Also, on top of that, you're going to get Minor Resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k. And then Coag Blood, this is a big burst heal. I've been hitting really solid burst heals on this thing. I've been hitting upwards of like 12 to 15k Coags. And overall, when you're taking too much damage, hit this ability, boom, right back up to full health. And then Volatile Armor, this is going to be your source of major resolve, so this is going to be increasing your physical and spell resistance by 6k for 20 seconds. Also, if you hit an enemy with this, it's going to be leaving a little bit of a dot on them, and I kind of like that dot on them because that's just extra damage to have on them at all times. And remember the Gerals earlier that we're using? If you just keep any source of damage on them, they'll be taking a stack of Gerals, so I'll take any stack of damage that I can get. That way I'm making sure that my enemies are taking damage every second for 35 seconds to get that full healing reduction on them. And then Corrosive Armor, this is going to be your ultimate on your back bar. I love Corrosive, it's a great ability. They nerfed it slightly this patch where they had it so that you can't gain ultimate while you're inside of it, which is pretty fair, I guess. I still don't think it's the biggest issue that's wrong with this. But what this does, if you don't know, I feel like you guys should know at this point because it's pretty old at this point, but it's still a great ultimate. Limits your incoming damage to 3% of your max health, so that's huge for your tankiness. And then on top of that, you're going to be ignoring your enemy's physical and spell resistance, so you're just cutting through them like paper. So by doing this, and then your enemies can't heal with your Gerals as well, dude, you're absolutely just cutting through them so much. It's awesome. It's a great ultimate. And then our champion points, our blue slottables are going to be Untamed Aggression, Ironclad, Wrathful Strikes, and Focus Mending. Our red slottables are Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, Celerity, and Pain's Refuge. And then the green tree, what we care about is Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And that is the entire build, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed. I really like this build a lot. I feel like it's really, really strong, and I just felt like it was worth showing you guys. I just thought it was a lot of fun, and I really just wanted to get on and get another StamDK build for you guys since it's been a little bit. But I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, please, liking the video helps me so much. Subscribing to the channel as well helps me out so much. Since I've started streaming on here, I would really appreciate any and all subs. Stopping by my streams. I stream 5 days a week. I've been streaming, I think my schedule is Fridays through Tuesdays, so the morning that I release this video I will be streaming. So guys, if you guys want to come up by, say hello to me, I would appreciate it. You guys can see all the behind the scenes of what goes into all these builds, because not every build that I try makes it onto these onto the YouTube. So I would appreciate if you guys could stop by. It would mean a lot to me. Also, one last announcement. If you're not following my TikTok as well, I would highly appreciate if you guys could do that. It takes 2 seconds to go and click over there. I'm going to be multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube for the foreseeable future, and I want to start multi-streaming on TikTok as well, but I need 1,000 followers over there, so the link will be in the description. If you guys want to take 2 seconds, log on to that, go and follow me. That'd be awesome. Again, the link to everything will be in the description. My Twitch, my Twitter, my TikTok, all that stuff. Anything that you guys want to follow me on that's not on here, all that will be in the description. Please, I can't stress enough, supporting your favorite content creators by just leaving them a follow is a huge way to support, and I would highly appreciate it. But guys, that is it from me. I'm gonna get onto the footage of this build build. I really hope that you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.